mic's on.
Mic is on.
Okay, how about this? How about this? In these days, by Colorado poet Rosemary Watola Dromer. In these days, when the torrents of grief flood deep, when sorrow pools like blood on the floor, in these days when I can do nothing but meet this moment, when I am too spent to say hello, love comes to meet me where I am. It holds me while I cry. It cradles me where I sit. It steps with me as I walk. There was, at first, a moment when I tried to push it away, alarmed by this onslaught of love. Too much, I protested, arms up in resistance. But love obliterated my no. It moved in to hold me from the inside, slipped into my tissue, my bones. It infused itself into each tiny cell, each organelle, and made inside me a home. Since that moment, I am never alone. Now, it is love that moves my hand. Love that shapes each word. Love that helps me rise, and love that pours the tea. Love that wakes with me in the middle of the night. Autonomic love that makes the heart beat. Autonomic love that makes the lungs breathe. Autonomic love that meets the impossible grief and surrounds it with impossible grace. Love that grips me around the heart as if to save me from drowning. Love that murmurs again and again, I've got you, Shiva. I've got you.
Thank you, Barbara. Barbara and Reverend Vernon helped me create a lot of the ritual today. So I'm grateful that you could hear a little bit of her reading. You'll hear more later. We are going to go in a mostly normal way and then conclude a little bit differently because that's how grief is. I'm actually going to take off my shoes for a bit. Just enter in the space a little bit deeper. I think that talking about grief is really important, mainly because we live in a culture that is so allergic to feeling anything uncomfortable, especially loss. Just sitting with what isn't sometimes is so excruciating that we don't really do it enough. But I pray that you stick with me today. We stick with each other in this ritualistic process. This is the journey to healing, and I pray that you receive that, possibly through the sermon, through the rituals, just through our time together. This is hard. but hopefully together we can get through it a little bit more gracefully. So I invite you to flow and to let it flow today. And if there's tears, so be it. And if there's laughter, sometimes that's okay too. And if there's anger or whatever, just let it bubble up. I do want to burst your bubble straight out the gate about death. I don't know if you know, but everyone in this room will die. I know. You weren't expecting a death joke, but I'm a chaplain, so that's how it will end for all of us. So even though we're going to talk about endings and losses today of all different kinds of people, know that this is the truth of how all of our stories will end. I think it says a lot about ourselves, actually, how we deal with that info. I watched this documentary with my family, with the Will Smith one. It's One Strange Rock. And it talks about the end of the world. And in 5 million years, not billion, but million, we will all die. Everything here will die, apparently. That's how it ends. And I think hearing something like that, regardless of what's happening in our bodies right now, I wonder if our response to that can teach us something. For me, it was hard. I don't know about you. Hearing that, I was like, there will be a time when my life and my story, when my legacy, when anything that ever mattered to me here would be gone forever and ever. My husband EJ was like, yay! This is so freeing and peaceful to me, to know there's a deadline, like an end date. So we're different, right? So, and maybe there's an answer there for you, a reaction, maybe on the middle ground. I do want to just acknowledge straight off the top too the history and the real history of Memorial Day. I don't think we're taught a lot of this in school, right? Or in society it says a lot of things. So I actually, I'm grateful that my partner AJ looked it up last year so I can learn. It's actually, of course, like most things, covered up because it's Black history. I know you're all shocked. All right, in 1865, in Charleston, South Carolina, there were a bunch of newly freed Black citizens at the end of the Civil War. And they exhumed a mass grave of dead Union soldiers. So they didn't want to just leave them there, so they reburied them, and they covered them with flowers to transmute it, right? All beauty, all goodness, everything rises up from the earth. We're able to do that work. And they memorialized them. They had a parade, and they celebrated their lives. And then the next year, of course, the federal government said, oh yeah, we're all going to do this. We're going to change the name. It's going to be Decoration Day, all these things. So now we have Memorial Day, where we acknowledge a lot of different people who have passed, especially in this country, that those who have served in armed forces. That's the real history where we come from. Black folks who did their own ritual. There are lots of kinds of grief showing up right now, so I just want to acknowledge that for folks. Maybe you are connected to someone who has passed. Maybe you are grieving a certain specific thing. But there's lots of endings going on right now. There's paradigms that are being destroyed left and right. Relationships are concluding. Even TV shows. If anyone's watching This Is Us, no spoilers. No, I don't know, I haven't watched it, so don't let me know. But this is a big, right? It's like the end of an era. Doesn't that feel like it? I wake up every day lately just feeling like on this precipice of endings. All these concluding things. Even transitions to something better can bring up a myriad of emotions. My kiddo Otis graduated from first grade. And I'm very excited for second grade, but I'm like, look, the first grade! Also, they had online kindergarten, so this was like the first time they were ever actually in school. It's a big thing. This generation, the pandemic generation, oh my gosh. Even seasons, we all remember last weekend, winter was like, nope, not yet. I'm still here, I'm gonna snow. These endings are around us and how we respond to them. It says a lot about who we are and determines the road of grief that we take. I think a lot of other faith traditions handle this a lot better, right? And Judaism crushes grief. They are phenomenal at it. If you want to process grief, go to Shabbat. Visit a shul, because they will teach you. They have a practice of Shiva, which literally translates to 7. When someone dies, they literally sit in Shiva for 7 days. People make them meals, they do not shower, they do not look in the mirror, they do not care. They are grieving. That is their job. Most jobs here in America don't even give us a bereavement period to mourn. They're like, okay, let's go. Someone passed, let's go, back to work, let's go, capitalism. Focus, focus. So we can all learn from these, right? What we have, what we don't have, the journey of grief. I invite you into the medicine of grief today. And I know that many people don't feel that grief is a medicine. We try to really wish it away. Many things that happen, I think people look at it more like the disease than the medicine. But we need to go through it together. We cannot go around it. There is no way other than through it today and every day. So just breathe that in your body and let that alchemize. And just like Rick Kitzman said at the beginning, grief is tricky. Every time you think you figured it out, it comes back. I call them death dominoes. They all kind of start to stack. And when one person dies, it could be 50 years later, and you're still thinking of that person, or the first death, or the most painful death, or the youngest death, the most tragic death in your life. You could be watching a movie, right? Or going on a really bad date, and one thing, someone orders a meal, takes you back immediately, right? It transports you. The memory of death, of grief, of the unlived, of the undone. For me, personally, I was 19 when it really hit me, and my grandmother passed. We knew it was coming for a few months. It was pretty hard. But it made it easier because a month prior to that, I was an RA, a resident assistant in a dorm, and I found a friend of mine dead. Found her body, dead from an OD at 19 years old. And I tell you this because it made my grandmother's death actually really nice. To know that she lived her whole life, that she died peacefully. In the middle of the night, the people that loved her the absolute most around her. It changes it, right? When we have tragic deaths versus not. Death dominoes. That's still, nearly 20 years later, that's what comes up for me. My question to you is, this week, there's been a lot of death. What was your death domino? What came up for you? Is it a person? A memory? What was that death domino that kind of started the wave that brought you here today? And all of you are here for a reason. There's no accidents, right? I am not here to soothe you. I know that's really hard to hear. I'm here to travel with you. You know what works for you, what works for your body, what works for everything in your life. I'm here to bear back the truth of this grief, to walk with you so that we don't have to go alone. I'm here to remind you of the divinity that is part of this journey as well. That we're not alone, just not only with our community, but with Spirit as well. This moment is too important in our society right now to be focused on getting comfortable. So I just invite you to sit in this discomfort a little bit longer. I know this week for me has been excruciating. I can't imagine how it's been for each of you. I have no idea what kind of trauma that you have walked in here with, and I can't acknowledge it individually, but I can feel it. I know it. You're not alone in that. But we need to take a real good hard look at what's going on in our country right now. This is not a place that has good values. This is not a place that is aligned with spirit, where the people can be safe. Even coming here today. Do you know how scared I am to get on the stage? It's scary to speak up. It's scary to be yourself. It's scary to go to the grocery store, to church, to school. It's maddening. It's maddening out there. This is not what we're here for. This is not what we're meant for, to treat each other like this. Been doing a lot of research on collective grief. That's what we're experiencing. For 2 years, we've been dealing with this pandemic and people dying left and right, and people dying more and more because people can't be bothered to wear masks or get vaccines or care about anyone but themselves. It is heartbreaking. How are we supposed to raise children? How are we supposed to look on the bright side all the time? Sometimes we cannot. Sometimes we just have to sit in the grief. I often say to folks who are in grieve so you can feel something else. This is the through part. If you want to feel something else, putting a Band-Aid over it is not the answer. This collective grief is a sickness. It is part of us, and until we grieve together in community, until we do this work and we walk through it so intentionally, that is what will get us through. That awareness, that power, that intentionality. That's what we're here to do. We carry so much trauma in our bodies about all of this compounding grief out there, and then someone personal dies. Like many in our community in the past year or two. And it just brings it all up, right? Because then you have personal grief dominoes, societal grief dominoes, dealing with a lot. It's compounding. We are grieving because we have a disillusion of the life that we were promised. As Americans, as humans, grieve that with me. Don't miss it. This moment sucks, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We can get through it. I know we can. I don't fully know how. We know how. And Spirit definitely does, so I'm going to tap into the mind of God as often as possible to get there. We have to transmute and transform this trauma because it's just choking our society. Marianne Williamson often talks about if anyone is really actually awake to the injustices in the world. It is insane. They look and they feel and they think insane in a society that is so fear-mongering. What do? We look insane because we're not part of the status quo, but really we're meant to be sacred way showers. We're meant to be agents for change, not sitting on the sidelines. This is a moment in history. We always say, oh, I was alive at that time. You're alive. This is a crazy time. Are we awake? Are we honoring the deeper call? Are we listening within? This is cognitive dissonance that is happening, but I know that each of you can navigate it because you're here, because you walked in here. Because that's what ritual does. It literally transforms. It literally goes into the cells of our body and vibrates at a different frequency. That's why we have the music. That's why I'm so glad Susie Peek is here. And she has just begun. Because this music, because these words, this time together, it literally transmutes what is stuck and stagnant and does not make sense. It's not supposed to. This is the real. They're trying to get us to believe something else. We know the truth. So what do we do with all this heartache, with all this loss, all this heaviness, right? You have this rock. This is a little tiny part of your grief, right? We're burdened by this. How can we offload it? How can we let it go? Maybe not all the way, but at least some of the way, because it's exhausting. I learned a lot as a trauma chaplain. I worked for several different hospitals over multiple years on the East Coast, and learned a lot, and it challenged many of my New Thought beliefs, because in New Thought we're taught, do not name anything ever that you do not want to attract. But it challenged my theology in the hospitals when doing that was actually causing more harm. It felt like spiritual violence. To do that to someone, to not acknowledge what I'm seeing right in front of me, to not acknowledge their pain, their grief, their loss, their heartache right in front of me. I was called over and over and over again every day at the hospital to the worst imaginable cases. Babies who didn't make it out of the womb, of partners who've been together for 50 years, of deaths from young people who made interesting decisions, of a lot of suicide, way more suicide than I could have imagined in that job. So I know what it's like to sit in those rooms that no one else wants to go in, by the way. That's what I hear over and over. You're a chaplain? Ooh, how do you do that? With love and with the honor that I feel blessed to be there at those moments. That I know what it's like in the worst day and the worst time of my life when someone sat with me. It didn't make me feel wrong for feeling something. We all know what that feels like, and it is an honor to give that to another human. That is my calling. And I'm grateful to do that with each of you today. So, what?
Good for you.
Thank you. As I cry on the stage, I encourage all of you, lots of tears, whatever happens today, let it bubble up. That's actually my next question, is what emotions are bubbling up for you right now? Maybe it looks like how it does for me. Maybe it doesn't. But what's bubbling up for folks? Sadness, maybe? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's anger. I get so angry at grief. Why did this have to end? Why? Why did they have to leave? Why does this have to happen again to more children? Why? It makes no sense. It's not supposed to. We should stop trying to make it make sense. We should focus on the healing. It's never going to fit. Anger is really, really, really important. And as a white woman in America, I've been taught since day one, shh. Be skinny, be pretty, do not talk, keep it together, suck it down. So many of us have eating disorders, self-harm practices, because we are shoving the anger down. Women have this the worst, because anger is actually the only acceptable emotion a man can share in society. Like, that's, in toxic masculinity, that's how it shows up. But anger for a woman is deadly. So I invite you to feel safe with your emotions in this space. That whether it's sadness or whether it's seething anger, it is welcome. I'm not afraid of it. Don't be afraid of your emotions either. They are welcome. They are valid, they are important, and they are messages, actually. And if we say no to them, what happens? They come back with a vengeance, right? As disease, as another failed relationship, as another lesson you thought you learned it, and it's back around. Why? It's still here because you didn't say the truth the first time. So if that's resonating with you, speak it. especially if you think it's inappropriate or uncomfortable. We are past that point. Children are dying. Black folks are dying getting groceries. Asian folks are dying worshiping at church. It makes no sense. So say the, quote, inappropriate thing in a very inappropriate society. I encourage you to do it. You'll feel better. Spirit loves that stuff. Barbara said, love meets the impossible grief and surrounds it with an impossible grace. And I love that line so much because that is what God is. Impossible. It feels crazy to have that much grace, that much love, that much wisdom, right? And yet we have it. And we can tap into it. It is that powerful. Grace does not mean peaceful all the time. Grace means divine acceptance of what is unfolding. And that's what Spirit gives to us, the divine acceptance. Come as you are, I welcome you. This impossible grace surrounds us like the loving arms of Spirit enveloping us. That's what Spirit is. View your impossible grief through the eyes of God. And surrender to that. It's not supposed to be right or wrong, it just is. There's no judgment, right? Just embrace it. So how do we actually channel these emotions without letting them boil and fester? We ritualize together. Today, that's what we're doing. We're coming together for something different, something better, something higher. We move our bodies, get it out of our bodies. Literally, the body keeps the score. All that trauma and grief is stored in there. So as much as we can dance it out, yell it out, run it out, whatever it is, get it out of your body. It needs to get out. One of my favorites is writing. If you're not a journaler, figure out how to be one. It's a phenomenal practice just to get the words on paper, just to get it out of your body, out of your mind. One of the most important things I like to do is find ways to honor the legacy of those who have gone. And many of us know those folks and what they stood for and what they would want us to do in certain moments in history and certain moments of trauma or tribulation. We know how to honor them. And so acting is treat and move your feet, right? So acting towards what they would want, living out their legacy for them, even if they can't be here with us. These are the moments the Spirit shows up, right? I often feel very alone in grief, but actually our grief is when we're closest to God, not the farthest. We're inches away. If only we could just touch it, and we can. We're okay with that. The more death that I encounter, the better I get at living. That's for sure. But also, I stop and actually smell the roses. I actually do it. I take more walks. I pause. I linger in hugs. I have the best meals. I don't care what things look like. I care how they feel. Because I've heard enough people's confessions at the last moments of their death, or their life, really. And they would give a lot of things up to have more time to do a lot of nothing. A lot of just hanging with their favorite people, doing their favorite things. I give you permission today to do that. Use death as a teacher for how to be more alive. Risk with your whole heart. Tell people the whole truth. Right? Learning from death even brought me to ALTHEA. Coming here was one of the bravest things I've ever done. And leaving feels even braver, actually. But we all get to grieve together in this too. I know that I've experienced a lot of grief around my exit. And I'm sure maybe it's grief for you, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's celebration, who knows? But I welcome it all. this space can hold it. My question to you is, what is grief teaching you right now about living better? What is grief teaching you right now about living better? Go ahead, shout it out. Let me hear some answers.
Joy each moment.
Joy each moment.
We can live when we stop running.
We can live when
When we stop running,
we can live when we stop running.
And be grateful for what we have.
Be grateful for what we have.
Compassion.
Compassion.
Be in community. Be in communion.
Be in communion and community.
Forgiveness.
Big risk.
Oh, I heard forgiveness. And what?
Taking the big risk.
Taking the big risks. What if there was no tomorrow? What are we going to do today, right? Yeah. It's a lot of wisdom in this room. A lot. So today's theme was honoring all. And that means more than just the people, right? We all are honoring all people. We're honoring all the emotions too. All the uncomfortability, everything that shows up. I honor it all with you. I relish it with you. I work through it with you. I pray that we accept all emotions as they surface. And I pray that we surround ourselves with impossible grace. And I pray that we live every moment as if it's our last. Because we never know if that might be the case. So thank you. Thank you for going on this journey with me. This is the beginning. We're going to do a couple of regular things, and then Susie Peek will play another song, and we will dive deeper into our grief ritual. So that being said, the next thing we're going to do is actually our offering. I invite the ushers forward. This is our time of sacred giving. Our time of investment into this space, into this community, into this current duration of what is. And ushers are going to pass the baskets after we do our offering affirmation, because everything is a ritual, if we make it, right? If we're intentional about it. So please say with me, the universe provides all that I need and all that I give. The great joy I share my prosperity, planting seeds for a world I'm helping manifest. And so it is. Amen. So the ushers pass baskets. On the back of your program is a QR code that will send you to our donation page. Thank our monthly donors so very much. And after you receive it, you will also be blessed. know that this prosperity goes as seeds literally planted in the ground for the beauty, for the growth, for the understanding, the awareness, and the transformation of the ALTHEA Center. The deep love of reverence and grace, impossible grace. I say this so it is. Amen. Thank you. All right. We're actually going to go in a little bit different direction, actually, Susie. Yeah, so we're going to do a few more things before you. Sorry. So I thought about it, and Susie is so good at what she does that I want her to play right as we enter our virtual space, because I think that will help us really deepen. Our consciousness will go even further. So right now is our chance to welcome in new folks. So if you are new to ALTHEA, we welcome you. We are grateful that you are here. Please feel free to raise your hand. And got some new folks here. We will give you a token of our gratitude. And if you have any questions, we'll be in the dining hall afterwards with, there was an actual moth living in those flowers. That's it. Nature, y'all. That's what happens when we invite the outside in. All right. I also want to take a moment to do every single Sunday. We're going to do it a little bit differently because there will be a moment of sharing about grief, particularly in the ritual right after. But I always love to do prayers of the people. So if you have prayers on your heart that are not necessarily grief-based, because we'll save those, if anything else is going on that you would like the community to know about and pray for, and pray with you, now is the time. Feel free. Our ushers have microphones. They'll come find you. Is there anything on anyone's heart that you'd like to share?
As not prayer for those that are grieving. And understand there is no right way, no wrong way to grieve. So to each his own.
Amen. Thank you.
I would like to pray for my stepdaughter and her healing. She's going through a very difficult time right now. And I'd like to pray for Kate.
What is your name?
Maggie.
Maggie.
Thank you.
Yes, we pray for Maggie's health and healing. Anyone else? Yeah.
Good morning, everyone, and namaste. I collect quotes for about 10 years now, and there's one that kind of was running over, kind of struck me. It's by one of my gurus. It says, by Paramahansa Yogananda, he wrote Autobiography of a Yogi. And it says, I have often said that if Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, and other true emissaries of the light all came together, they would not quarrel, but drink from the same one cup of God communion. And that again was by Paramahansa Yogananda.
Anyone else?
Catherine, thank you for your honesty and your message today. I felt that.
My brother, his name is CJ. He is houseless right now and going through just a lot of hard medical issues and mental issues. And so we could pray for him.
Pray for abundance. All right. Thank you all. Will you write these down and pray for all of you throughout the week? We will do an affirmative prayer at ALTHEA, so it's not pleading with the universe, but co-creating. So very powerful, intentional prayer. So please know we take these very seriously. We have a few announcements, and then we'll begin our ritual. The first announcement, actually, I'm going to invite Naomi up, and she will share with you what her announcement is.
So my name is Naomi Peebles, and you might remember me from Christmas Eve or just coming to ALTHEA for 5 years. So this year ALTHEA Center will be joining marching in the Pride Parade, and we hope all who are able will join us on Sunday, June 26th. And step-off will be at 9:30 a.m. from Cheeseman Park, ending at the Colorado State Capitol. That Sunday, we will have ALTHEA doors open for people who cannot march. Though there will not be a normal Sunday service, we will plan an alternate activity for volunteers staying. And if you would like to participate in marching or volunteer to stay, please sign up on the board in the dining room, you know, the cork board, yeah, that one. And we would also love help in planning. So we were thinking maybe making t-shirts, still a little bit undecided, but if you want to volunteer to help doing that, then it's open. Is this your book? I think this one's yours. Try to lose your grief.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Really, Pride is a very sacred ritual, especially in this community. A lot of folks here value deeply queer rights and queer alignment and power and justice. And so I'm really glad that folks will be there in Pride Parade. All right, let's see what other announcements we have. The community discussions, like I said, are this Wednesday, June 1st here at noon in the sanctuary. Or actually, hopefully we'll be in the library, unless we million people that it'll be the sanctuary. And the next one will be this Thursday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. online. So the Zoom and the links are in your inbox. There is also lunch afterwards today. There will be no deep dive because we have a very extended ritual that we'll be doing out front and of course spreading over the arrows and ashes as well. That being said, I now would like to invite Susie Peek up here, and I invite you into a space of gearing up and gearing inward, and really ready to transmute the grief that's in your hearts. As Susie plays, please connect to your memories, to your heart, to spirit, and to the rock, and just pour your grief into the rock in your hand. Thank you. space for the elements. We needed space for our grief. We needed space for one another. Each of the elements is represented on the table. We have water, which really is the elixir of life. And it stands for all of the countless tears that we have shed for our grief. We have the candles, and the eternal flame burning in all of us. We have the earth. We have Lord Lucero's ashes. Back to the dust that we all came from, and we all will return to. And the air will come from what y'all will share. The words, the breath. I'd like to just start by naming those in our ALTHEA community who have passed. We acknowledge the transitions of Robert Beal, Pamela Getty, Lawrence Coleman, Lori Lucero, Ruby Rivera, and Barbara Test. We acknowledge their spirits. We acknowledge their legacy in this building with each of us. They live on through our actions, through our stories, our memories, and the peace that we find even without them. I now invite Barbara to work it up for a reading.
Good morning. I wasn't planning on this, but I have to do it spontaneously because that music that you just heard, I should come farewell. It put me in a place that Catherine was talking about the dominoes of grief and what sets us off. Today, that reminded me of my husband who died 22 years ago. And that music was, I bought that CD for him for Valentine's Day. It was called Lover's Waltz, and it was one of our favorite CDs. And so he joins me and us today too. And maybe I'll bring in a little bit more in a minute. Okay. So Francis Weller is known for his work in grief and ritual and community. He writes about vesseling, the need to create a sacred container for our grief. And that's exactly what we've been doing since the moment we walked in today until the moment we leave, is vesseling. He says when grief arises, it asks to be held, carried close to the heart, and nourished by affection. We're invited to slowly build a vessel, spacious enough to contain all the wild movements of a soul in grief. The metaphor of the vessel is ancient, frequently referenced in spiritual traditions and psychotherapy. It suggests that deep psychic work requires a holding space, a sacred container, within which the work of change can take place. Grief, we know, pulls us into uncharted waters, shadowed and stormy, littered with debris of loss. Uncontained, the swell of our sorrow can carry us away in a wash of grief. Our vessel must be able to hold bitterness, remorse, heartache so intense that we feel we will not survive. It must be able to hold cries of despair, and hopelessness, long stretches of emptiness, and the writhing pains of betrayal. The vessel we build must be strong.
Thank you. You said a sacred container within which the work of change can take place. And we are that container here, and we hold it together, as you said. And I am going to invite you each in a moment to come on up here. After you have really gotten all of your grief into this rock, or most of it, at least 90%, right? Pour it in there. I invite you in this moment to look at your rock, to rub it, to focus on it. Imagine your grief just pouring into it. Name the mourning that your soul is going through. Is it a person, a system, an ideology? Grieve so you can feel something different. I'm going to invite folks up whenever you want. Mimi's going to show you at first how it goes. And to come down this aisle and use the mic and name your grief. Name it for all to hear. And then place your rock in this bowl here. And walk this way back to your seat. I encourage you to be honest. I encourage you to be open and let it all out. Whatever needs to come out today in this space, it is welcome. The sacred vessel, the sacred container, it is welcome. Give your grief a name and then give it away.
I feel that I'm holding in this rock the sorrow of the world. There is so much sorrow. So much sorrow. And the sorrow for the loss of the lives of the children, where they sacrifice their lives so that someone can have the freedom to buy weapons of mass destruction. Their parents, the children that have survived the trauma that they will live with all their lives, the helpers, everyone who is going to help them survive through it, to heal from it, to learn how to live with it. The people of Ukraine, the pandemic, all of the losses, a million in the United States, we have the most. And I have so much grief for our country. It is not the United States of America. It is the divided state of America. And I pray for healing for us all. So I invite you all to come. My grief today is for the grief of the child that I had for 6 weeks before it died inside me. She or he would be around 35 years old right now. And it's a loss that has been so huge in my life that it just comes and goes. Things remind me of it. These shootings in schools. I have great nieces that are 6 and 8 years old right now. And I think about how horrible that will be for our family, my family. And I want to just say that the love I have experienced and the synchronicities that have led me to the Divine Mother and her love, and how that has healed so much of my trauma in my life. I feel very blessed for it. So there's always good. And I'm just grateful for that and for being here today.
Dale, Sammy, and Michael.
I've been very angry the past 2 weeks about all the gun violence. And today it really hit me that I'm incredibly sad about it too. And so I'm grieving all of those lost lives and the children, and grieving the war in my country.
I've infused in my beautiful crystal the grief of my ancestors, our ancestors. Tear up when I think of them. And anyway, the other word that comes up, right along with that grief, is grace. Because they did so many things with such grace, as well as the grief. So I just infuse a lot of risen now in my heart is the unconditional love that I know we all have and have to access even more now. And what is the now about? It's living in the now. So let the word around move on as you focus in the now.
My grief is from my mother who passed away last April. I began to bring my other children.
Particularly for loss of values going on in this country. The need is sad, difficult experience, and it's going on around the world. So I'm grieving kind of the plan. At the same time, it's difficult to watch it, experience it, feel it, and know that there's not much I can do about it except keep my own values and ethics and practices as best as you can. And also, in addition, Lori was there also.
My grief is just horrible. Loss of light.
My grief is for my broken family and broken country.
passed yet, but, for her husband, children, grandchildren, all her family, me, who just love her so very much. And just very mercy.
My grief is in this well from so many things, but on the other side of it is so much gratitude for the people that I had in mind passed on, including Pam Getty, who was the reason that I came here with ALTHEA, and also Barbara Test, with whom I share my first name.
I too love to think of putting that beautiful art and enjoying their power now. This is this beautiful thing that happens when it's opens up, and love comes flowing and joy comes flowing, because it's the amazing appreciation of life that happens under that beautiful shower of grief. So it's been my best friend, my greatest teacher.
I'm pretty simple. My grief is the helpless experience grief. That others were telling me something called grief and how it's defined and how it looks. I was raised that way. I experience it that way. And I do experience it more as joy and peace and love.
I'm grieving loved ones and friends that I used to.
I'm also grieving people I miss dearly. I am grieving that collective grief that we are all feeling in our country. And I'm grieving people's unwillingness to see their own complicity. And their unwillingness to do something about it. And I'm grieving that in this community, frankly.
I'm grieving the sadness of my stepdaughter Randy's situation, and I'm grieving the loss of children to gun violence.
I'm grieving the war, grieving people in Ukraine, and grieving people in Russia. I'm grieving the loss of innocence that, whatever innocence America has, we lost it this week, and it's gone. It was so simple, something I read on Facebook of all places. The two kids are fighting, and one has a stick, and he's beating the other kid, you take the stick away. Why can't we do that?
All others are welcome, even if you don't want to publicly name it, just to drop the grief off. If you'd like to just drop it, you don't have to say anything. Divine timing for everyone. Please don't hold on to the grief, because this is only step one of the ritual. We don't want you to leave with it.
Everything that I heard resonates with me completely. I'm grieving several people that went way too soon. But what's come up for me with both Ukrainian and recent mass shooting is I'm grieving the lack of human connection that causes hatred or violence.
the loss of my daughter, Carlos, and I'm grateful for this space because I came here every Sunday. It was with me and my Lord.
I think I share all the collective grief that we all feel for the war, for the gun violence, for the lack of humanity towards one another, and I grieve the loss of my dad. Died 7 years ago. I much miss him every day. But I grieve the loss of my parents. I grieve the suffering of my mother. And I'm so grateful for the lessons they taught me to be kind, to be honest, to be compassionate, and to do everything we ever do with the little bit.
So we named our grief, and we just want to share what is the next step. There's still time to drop it off, so if anyone else wants to come up.
Grief initiates the move to build the vessel. We intuitively sense that what is moving in the hallways of the soul requires our attention, our time, and our devotion. This awareness generates the vessel. The vessel is created by work that takes place both within and without. It is shaped by how we hold what is present in our lives, and it's fortified by how we are held within the fields of our friendships and our community. The inner work is one of noticing and responding to the push and the pull of sorrow. It is a courtship with lamentation, a welcoming the many moods, old memories, fitful emotions, and chaotic dreams that repeatedly arise. The inner work invokes silence and solitude as places of hospitality for our suffering heart. The outer work includes the old wisdom of sharing wisely what is moving within us with those who can receive what it is we are experiencing without judgment or advice. This wisdom recognizes that grief has always been communal, and it is into the hands of community that we must ultimately return, village as vessel.
Grief has always been communal, and it is into the hands of community we must ultimately return. Village as vessel. That's what we are. Village as vessel. This community, there is power in witnessing and being witnessed. There is alchemy in being held. We do this work together. And I invite you with me now, intentionally and slowly and quietly, to make our way outside in the front, where we can actually fully alchemize our grief and release it. So when you're ready, please intentionally and quietly be outside.